In a week where 8 of the top 13 teams lost, including 5 of the top 25 teams losing on Wednesday, things are getting crazy in JUCO basketball. Also, the district starts their second half of games facing each other, and the standings get another shakeup. Plus, I was honored to have Wabash Valley head coach Terrance McGee sit down with me as we talk about his first year at the helm as he tries to build a winning culture at Wabash. Oh, and the theme of this week's episode is bench play. Let's jump into the first game of the recap of Logan versus Rend Lake. I thought this game was going to be a blowout win for Logan. And while the Vols did move above 500, it wasn't as big a win as it was in Ina, as they won 72-57. Logan only led by 1 at half at 32-31, and all around, the team's stats were pretty even. Field goals, Logan shot 49%, while Rend Lake shot 48%. And behind the arc, it was the same. Rend Lake shot 44%, and Logan shot 40%. Logan only won the rebounding battle 28-22 and won the turnover battle as they only had 11 turnovers while forcing 19. But again, bench, and like I said, this is why I said it's going to be the big thing in the episode. Bench play was huge, as Rend Lake only scored 10 points off the bench, while Logan had 19. Rend Lake was led by not Justin King, but Keith Robinson, who had 16 points and had 3 rebounds and 2 assists to go along with a couple of steals. Speaking of King, he only had 11 points, shooting 4 of 8 from the field, and had 5 rebounds and had 3 assists. Reese Johnson was the third Rend Lake player, so they're finally able to get a third player to score in double digits with Johnson. And it's been those big 3 for Rend Lake, and most of the time it's only been 2 of the 3 that have been on. This time they got all 3 going. It just wasn't enough, as Johnson had 11 points as he was 3 of 5 from 3-point while having 4 rebounds and 3 assists. Logan, on the other hand, was led by R.J. Walker, who had 5 threes and 3 rebounds to go along with 2 assists and 4 steals. He finished with 19 points. Julian Norris had 7 field goals, 5 assists, and he finished with 16 points. And the last Vol to be in double figures was Caden Hawkins, who was 5 of 9 from the field, had 5 assists and 3 steals. He finished with 13. And that was kind of big because you didn't have Wandis, you didn't have Worrell, you didn't have some of these other team players step up for Logan. It was mainly those 3. Walker has been there most of the year. Norris, I've said his name a couple times, so he's starting to get ahead of things. It's really, can Worrell, can all these guys work together to get the win? They were able to against Rend Lake. Are they going to be able to pull it off in district play? That is to be seen. Wednesday night, Wabash was looking to tighten up the race for first in the district as they took on Olney, but they fell short 101-70. As a team, the Warriors shot 26% from 3 and only 38% from the field and lost the rebounding battle 49-32. The Blue Knights shot a scorching 52% from the field and hit 13 of 26 from deep. So that's one of the big reasons why Olney was able to put it to Wabash Valley. Unfortunately, Colleen Taylor led the way for the Warriors with 22 points, 7 rebounds as he shot 7 of 16 from the field. Brandon Razor Moore added 3 threes, 4 rebounds, and 13, but again, was not a good shooting night for him. So he'll have these spurts where he'll be lights out or he'll be, effective off the floor, but then there will be other nights like Vincennes, like this game against Olney, where he's not able to really get going offensively and will have to adjust defensively. He wasn't really able to do that tonight, and it showed. Julia McGowan had 6 field goals and 7 rebounds with 5 blocks for 12 points, and Andron Sprinkles had only points off the bench for the Warriors as he had 13 and had 3 assists with 4 rebounds. Again, if your bench is only scoring 13 points, you're not going to win a whole lot of games in this district, unfortunately. And, it was a Des Moines walk-up show for Olney Central as he netted 8 threes, had 4 rebounds and 3 assists. He finished with a game-high 37 points. Darian Lewis had 7 field goals, had 9 rebounds, and finished with 17, as Arda Durkalar and Jacoby Thompson had 12 points apiece. Thompson had 7 assists to go with his 4 of 7 from the field, and Arda was 6 of 9 from the field and had 8 rebounds. The Knights had 18 points off the bench, like I said. So the bench battle was actually closer than I expected it to be when I was looking at the stats. It was really the Blue Knights being able to shoot it from deep that gave them the win here. But again, if your bench is only scoring 13 points, you better hold that other bench to about 18. It has to be within striking distance. And Coach McGee was able to do this. It was just only got hot. And sometimes that happens. And it happened against the Warriors. And so can they rebound is going to be their big thing. They've lost 2 games now to the top 2 seeds in this league. Can they rebound, and are they going to be able to pull out a big-time win? That is going to be the biggest thing I see for the Warriors here. It was a back-and-forth affair in the first half in Centralia as Vincennes only led by 5. But the Blazers outscored the Blue Devils in the second half 35-20 and won the game 72-52. Vincennes as a team shot 48% from the field and only had 9 turnovers compared to their 18 assists, and won the rebounding battle 42-36. Kaskaskia, they normally shoot really well on their home floor. They only shot 30% from the field and had 14 turnovers. Vincennes shot 38% from 3 compared to Kaskaskia's abysmal 13%. Vincennes also won the bench battle 27-4 as they were led by Michael Osebansu off the bench. He was 7 of 11 from the floor and had 6 rebounds, scoring a season-high 18 points. LeBron Thomas bounced back from a personal poor game, and he was 6 of 10 from the floor, grabbing 9 rebounds and 4 assists, all while fighting foul trouble in the second half. He finished with 16. Victor Lato was 50% from the floor and had 2 blocked shots. He finished with 12 points as Kyrie Dixon led the Blazers with 11 rebounds and having 5 blocked shots. He also scored 10 points. Kaskaskia was led by Kamari Slaughter and Caleb Jenkins, both finishing with 17. Jenkins was 7 of 14 from the field and had 6 rebounds, while Slaughter shot poorly from the field, 4 of 17, but he was 9 of 10 from the foul line, and he led the Blue Devils in rebounding with 9 and assist with 4. He also led them in steals as well when he had 3. Isaiah Tolbert hit 3 threes and dished out 3 assists, finishing with 10 points for the Blue Devils. But again, in this league, if you don't have a bench play, you're not going to win games. And Vincennes exploited that with Michael single-handedly crushing Kaskaskia's bench 18-4. Overall, Vincennes, again, like I said, 127-4. That's going to win you a lot of games in this league. It's going to win you a lot of games come Ina, and it's definitely going to win you some games at Hutch. Belleville saw the home team win after a 4-game losing streak, 90-78 in their win over Lakeland. SWIC as a team was white hot, shooting 49% from the floor as a team, but lost the rebounding battle 41-37 and the bench battle 35-34. But here's where if you lose the bench battle, especially by a small margin, you're able to win the turnover battle, and SWIC was able to do that, winning that battle 17-11, forcing 17 turnovers and only giving up 11 of themselves. SWIC was led by Nazir Leonard, who had 23 points off of 9 field goals made with 4 rebounds, as Jamil Barber was 6 of 8 from the field and 4 of 7 from the foul line, with getting on the defensive glass with 3 rebounds as he finished with 18 points. Dallas Rufus had 5 assists and 3 steals to go along with 3 rebounds. He added 13 for SWIC. Jacoby Huddleston led the Blue Storm with 8 rebounds and 2 assists as he finished with 11 points and he had 5 field goals made. Sam Hincapie was off the bench and was 7 of his 9 rebounds were offensive for Lakeland, and he had 2 steals. He finished with an amazing 20 points. Sean Dekonovich, he's been a beast this year. Every week I seem to say his name at least once. Had 9 rebounds as well. He had 5 assists to go along with his 7 field goals. He finished with 18 points, leading the starters. Ahmad Roberts hit 2 threes and grabbed 6 rebounds, ending the game with 11, while Tyler Chapman battled foul trouble all night long. And trust me, when the referees in Belleville start calling the fouls, they call it in bunches. And unfortunately for Chapman, that's what happened. He only had 10 points, but did dish out 6 assists and grabbed 4 rebounds, going 4 for 4 from the free throw line as well. But it wasn't enough, as SWIC was able to snap their losing streak and get into the win column. Shawnee was able to bounce back from their loss against Logan with a 23-point win against Lincoln Trail as they won it 87-64. Caden Hunlocker was 8 of 11 from the field and put the Statesman on his back, finishing with 18 points, as he had 7 rebounds as well. Shea Aloye was in foul trouble for most of this game and was able to put up 14 points, and Ollie offered at 11 off of a 6-of-6 free throw shooting night and had 6 rebounds and 4 assists. But, I mean, the Statesman really just can't put everything together. If Huntlocker puts the team on his back, he needs a second and a third to really step up and be closer into the point differential than they normally are. Didn't happen in this game, and Shawnee took advantage of it. Shawnee is looking to be competitive in the district. Not saying Lincoln Trail isn't. It's just where they are in the standing. Shawnee's battling for a potential 3 seed, while Lincoln Trail's trying to get out of the gutter. Miles Lemon for Shawnee was 8 of 9 from the field and grabbed 10 rebounds, finishing with 19 points. Ladricus Pittman hit 4 threes and had 8 assists with 4 steals. And the biggest thing for the Saints was the bench. Yes, I might have to put a bench counter on this, as Shawnee's bench had 38 points, led by Jamil Grigsby, who grabbed 11 rebounds and hit 6 field goals, finishing with 15. The reason this was such a big win for the Saints was because Grigsby scored as many points as the entire Lincoln Trail bench. Yeah, so Lincoln Trail as a team had 22 turnovers to compare to Shawnee's 9. Again, big differential there, so Shawnee wins that battle. The Statesmen won the rebounding battle, however, 40-33, and both teams shot fine from behind the arc. Lincoln Trail shot 33% and Shawnee shot 35.7%, but really it was the turnover battles, the bench scoring, and Shawnee being able to shoot a little bit better from behind the arc that got the Saints the win in this game. And unfortunately for Lincoln Trail, you're fighting an uphill battle as you're trying to get within striking distance of Kaskaskia. I'll say this. Friday night, Coach McGee was willing to sit down with me, and I am really thankful that he was able to take time out of his busy schedule as he was getting ready to play Shawnee on Saturday. So the fact that he ended practice, got into his office, and sat down with me on a Zoom call means a whole lot to me. I am going to go ahead and kick it to that interview right now. Well, my next guest on the podcast is a very special one, the 4th head coach out of 9 in the district. So let me go ahead and introduce him, Coach Terrance McGee of Wabash Valley. Coach, like I said, 4th head coach to jump on with me, and I always appreciate it. And trust me, it's a blessing for you to make time out of your busy schedule, especially during the season.
No problem. Thank you for having me. You're that guy. Everybody speaks highly of you. So I was excited when I got the email.
Coach, your start to Wabash Valley hasn't always been roses and daisies. You've had some troubles with it, with having games canceled. What has that been for your players, to having games canceled probably a day or two before you're going out there, especially with traveling and all that?
It's been tough a little bit. It almost took me back to when we the COVID days almost, where guys were like, oh, we about to play, and then next thing you know, you get that call like the day before, hey, we got guys that tested positive. So it almost took you there. And those guys were ready to play. You always hate to tell them that games are canceled, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it was the nature of the beast. So we just had to deal with it, try to get those guys just to play a little bit against each other. But you know how it is in the beginning, they get so tired of each other. So we just managed it. It was tough, but managed it.
I was reading over your introduction presser back in May. You mentioned that that this Wabash Valley has been a family community. How have the fans come out and supported this team?
They've been good. They've been good. Just excitement. Even when I first got here in the summer, when I got the job, and I'm here working, I'm thinking, nobody's going to be around, and you got people coming in like, "Hey, we can't wait till basketball season starts." I'm like, "That's pretty good." So, but they've been very supportive. They follow the team. They travel with us, to different games. They're there early before us. They come to watch our women play as well, which is good. So they love their sports, and it's pretty good.
I should have led with this, but you're very familiar with the district. In your presser, you mentioned that you recruited guys out of Wabash Valley before for SIU Carbondale, SIU Edwardsville, and as we were talking before, Milwaukee. How familiar were you with the other teams going into getting the head coaching job, not just with Wabash Valley?
Very. When I started my coaching career back in what was that, 2010, I was at Grand Valley State, which is in Allendale, Michigan, and our impact was junior college kids, and we wanted to make sure we touched the Illinois junior college kids. So that making that drive, to Vincennes, even there, a lot of those guys we couldn't get, at the D2 level, we just had to wait. But then going to Olney, then coming to Wabash, driving down to Shawnee, John A. Logan. We actually got a kid, I think Nicholas Waddell, that played at John A. back then, that came to us at Grand Valley State. So I'm very familiar with it, man. It's a league that's always solid and sometimes, kind of overlooked, but it's a whole bunch of diamonds in the rough down here.
And that's what I've kind of gotten from Coach Ledvina as well when he was at Western Michigan and at Edwardsville, or no, just Western Michigan. But he was saying that this reminds him a lot of MAC play. Does that kind of remind you of Missouri Valley, Ohio Valley, Big Ten, where the conference gets overlooked and the style of play is very iron sharpens iron type situation?
Yeah, I would put that. I think you got, just being honest, there's some kids I think that are like Valley, because Valley is almost to me kind of like a baby Big Ten. But definitely the MAC, the Horizon, the OVC. Um, we have that type of feel where we got a lot of guards in this league that can score. We got a lot of agile stretch four guys. Um, we got some physical posts that can, that I've seen in the OVC and the Horizon League that I'll compare those guys to every time I'm scouting or recruiting. I'm like, oh yeah, he plays just like that. So I would agree with that. They fit right in that area.
While you were at SIUE and Carbondale and Milwaukee, you were kind of the JUCO guy. So you've been to Hutch as a scout. What is that environment like for the fans, and what have you tried to embark or to push onto your players? What that environment's going to be like in March?
It's unbelievable. I mean, that is some really good basketball. You got to understand that's the best of the best, and those teams either won their regions, won their districts, or whatever, or got automatic bids, but they got them for a reason, because they're good. And that basketball is really good basketball. It's like almost like that one shining moment. You get to that spot, and a lot of those guys that haven't been heard of or haven't been seen, oh, they're going to be seen there. And it just take that one good game or that breakout. Next thing you know, you went from maybe two or three guys with some interest to about 7, 8 offers. Um, so with us, with the recruiting scene at Milwaukee, at Carbondale, and at even at SIUE, you had to get on those guys early because you knew once you got to Hutch, like now they're going to start bringing out those Power Five teams. They get a chance to get down and see them all in one spot. So you better have that good relationship with them. And I tell our guys too, like that's elite. We're trying to build something here, and we're not just trying to build something to where we're trying to build something to where we're playing the best teams on our schedule. So whether that we get a chance to get into March, like those teams are really good. So we try to make sure that what we do is at an elite level. We don't want to just try to be mediocre. So you just try to teach those guys that. It's kind of hard for them to kind of realize it because some of them haven't experienced it, but that's what we work towards, and that's what I tell our guys about.
Yeah, and here's what I found amazing. This Warrior team has always been about I would say middle of the pack. in previous years, you have them fighting for the top seed in the district. Now, you are coming off of back-to-back tough losses to the other teams that were tied going into last weekend. What is going to be the biggest adjustment for you in the second half of your district schedule?
The biggest adjustment is just making sure that, you know, our guys and our team, we learn from the mistakes that we made. We we were doing really well, and then we ran into the top half of the teams that have guys that been there before. So those two teams that we were just coming off a loss versus Vincennes and coming off a loss to Olney. Well, the one thing that they have is they got guys returning that played at a high level last year. So that's the biggest thing. They have a cohesiveness already. They used to each other already. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do right now is build our team and trying to catch up with those guys because they already built theirs before. You know what I mean? They already had a year with each other, so they know. So we're behind. But they're not the only team. You know, the Shawnees, the John A. Logans, the Kaskaskias. These coaches done a great job of putting together really good teams. The Lakelands, you know, pretty much everybody in our league is solid, and those guys they got experience, and that matters, and we see that in college basketball, right? The teams that make it, the so-called Cinderellas. Well, if you look at the rosters on those Cinderellas, those guys been in that program 3+ years, and that helps.
Now you're getting ready to face Rend Lake, so you'll get to see Ina's floor. Does that kind of give you an advantage compared to Vincennes, who doesn't play Rend in the regular season? That you'll be used to those like rims and whatnot uh, going into that tournament, or is it just a wash once tournament tips?
No, I think it could be, but you know, some guys, you know, as a player, you like to get certain things I like to do as a player to get a feel, and you always want your guys to get a feel of the rims and where you're going to play at. Um, but I think, you know, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, like you're going to go places, you got to go on the road and you got to adjust. So if you can go on the road and win on the road, no matter where it's at, when you guys are locked in like that, I don't think it really gives that much of an advantage. But it is good to, you know, those guys to feel good and see the ball go through the hoop on a certain court.
Talking about Ina, this tournament comes up here in a month and a half now. What has your experience been like when you were on those D1 programs and even your D2 program when you're recruiting those kids in Ina before you even go out to Hutch like 2 weeks later?
It's ran very well. I mean, they've done a great job of getting those guys there. It's a pretty good location where you can house everybody, and you're right there where you're on top of the court, and you get a chance to actually see them. But they've always done a good job for the what 14 years that I've been coaching. And it's a good atmosphere. Like those fans around there, whether they're Rend Lake fans or not, like they come to the games. Um, and then with your fans coming there as well, it's almost like the little Dayton, how Dayton is with the first four. It's almost a little bit like that JUCO wise because they love basketball.
On your team, you didn't really bring anybody back. You might have had one or two come back from the previous coaches, but the really big one that I've seen is Brandon Razor Moore. I've talked about him a lot on the podcast. He's really developed, I think, from week one to now. What has his attitude been like when he goes to practice every day?
It's very receptive. You know, he comes in, he works, he gets his individual work in. The biggest thing with him is just trying to continue to build and be consistent because he's a guy that I watched when I was at Edwardsville. You know, kind of recruit him a little bit with uh, Hardy, Eddie, who's at Bethune-Cookman now. So those guys, we came in and watched those guys as well, and it was like, you know, there's some days that he shows up, and then there's some days, some games where he kind of faded, and you're like, okay. So that was one of the conversations that we had. I'm like, hey, I've watched your games, I've seen you play, I've heard what other recruiters said about you. The biggest thing that you have to build on is your consistency. Like, you got to be consistent. We have to feel your presence at every time. And I think he's done a good job with that. It's new to him, but he's working. So he's working.
And like I said, he's played very, very well. I mean, hitting that half court shot against Kaskaskia to send you guys into overtime. What was that atmosphere like? I mean, I was able to watch it, thankfully, but just recapping it, you can never really go into that much detail how big of a shot that was. And did that propel you in that win?
I think it did. I think it did. I mean, just like any other game, man, if you see a guy hit a half court shot to put you into overtime, like, I've been on both ends of it in the coaching career. I've been on where a guy hits in the overtime, you're like, all right, mentally now you're like, hey, got to get our guys going, and because you see them drop their head, like, oh man. So, and then I've been on the good end of it at times as well, where you hit it and it just re-energizes your guys, and then it gives them that belief, hey, we can really do it. So, no matter what, you got to try to capitalize on it whenever it hits. But it was unbelievable, man. The funny thing is, he does those shots, like we shoot half court shots at the end of practice, and he's one of those guys that's hitting them at a consistent basis. So
You felt pretty good about him going into that situation where the ball's in his hands. He's going to put you in the best spot to hit that. Or is it just more like he just happened to be open there if you can go back in time?
well, he was the kind of, it was kind of been through. It was kind of to try to get in his hands. One thing about it with his length and his athletic ability, when you got guys like that, we got a couple of the guys in the league like that, they're able to get their shots off. So you kind of like taller, lanky guys that can shoot it. And we knew kind of that, one thing is for sure is that he's going to get the shot off. But, I mean, you can't ever know that it's going in. That was just the excitement about it.
Well, Coach, this is your first year in the district. What has been like the biggest adjustment for you? I know you've scouted the district and you've scouted junior college your whole career. Now that you're the head honcho, what is the biggest thing that you go, oh, that is completely different than what I'm used to?
I think it all just runs together. And you have to adjust. Like, you can see, just by watching film, like you feel and you understand how good these teams are. So that didn't shock me. I understand, even with doing recruiting, get a chance to talk to some of these coaches when I was recruiting some of their guys, to understand, that they're good coaches. They do things well. Like I said, the biggest transition is just, the things that you don't think about, like the meetings here, the paperwork here, that stuff, and just make sure you stand on track with that. I've been blessed with good mentors, Barry Henson, Rick Wesley, Doug Wegemester, those guys that drilled me with that stuff. And then I worked for some good people that were very detail oriented, that kept me in line, not kept me in line, but kept me going as well, where I had to stay on top of it. So nothing really was a huge shock. It was kind of some things that I expected.
I know you haven't, as a coach, haven't been able to play in all these stadiums yet, but just in general, outside of Wabash Valley, where is your favorite place to go and visit in the district?
In the district. Well, I haven't been to every place yet, but I do like the atmosphere at Vincennes and Logan. Those two atmospheres are good. I do like it's almost like the old round ball gym that was at Wichita State, like kind of like Lakeland.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say Lakeland's always been one of my favorite gyms to go out and visit.
That's kind of set up is pretty cool. So, and I got a couple more places to go see. So,
Yeah.
those three right there, off the top of my head, I think those three, I like those three.
And Coach, again, thank you so much. You're the fourth one. I've reached out to all 9 coaches. Coach Franklin, Coach Sparks, Coach Levina, and you are the ones that have agreed to come on here. As the head coaches, I've had Coach Davis as well as an assistant coach. So I really appreciate you taking the time. You got a game Saturday against Shawnee. at Shawnee, so a place you get to visit.
Yeah.
What is going to be that kind of atmosphere? I know you've probably seen it as a scout. You've seen the tape of them. It's a different time, especially since they beat you on your home floor the first time around.
No, we actually won.
Oh, you beat them. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be. Coach Sparks is a good coach, man. I've recruited. That's actually been the first place when I went to Carbondale. He had a stretch 4 kid that ended up going to Louisiana Tech and ended up going to Florida that I was recruiting. That was actually the first gym I went to. And one thing about him, like all his teams are tough. They're tough. They're physical. So that is kind of what I'm trying to get our guys to understand on how it's going to be. Those guys are going to come out. They're going to, like I said, physical, the toughness. It's going to be a gritty, grimy game. So that's what I'm expecting, and that's what I told our guys to expect. So we just got to be, physical. We gotta be strong with the basketball, and we got to be ready.
All right, Coach. I really appreciate it. Again, that is Coach Terrance McGee of Wabash Valley. I will go ahead and recap or preview these Saturday games right after this.
Thank you for having me.
Again, thanks to Coach McGee for taking the time to sit with me, and we'll talk about his game against Shawnee from Saturday. The Saints will get their revenge from the defensive battle in December at Mount Carmel, where the Saints lost it 55-51, and they win this game 62-56. The Saints won the turnover battle, forcing 22 turnovers while only committing 11. The rebounding battle, winning that 39-31. But had a poor shooting night as a team where they only shot 13% from behind the arc and 36% from the floor. The Warriors, on the other hand, shot 40% from the floor and from behind the arc. They were led by Musha Burton, who off the bench had 18 points, was 7 of 14 from the field, and had 4 threes, grabbed 5 rebounds, and dished out 5 assists. Brendan Razor Moore was 5 of 10. He hit 3 threes as well. Grabbing 3 rebounds, he finished with 13 as Alhaji Diop had scored 10 points. He grabbed 5 rebounds for Wabash, but it just wasn't to be as Ladricus Pittman was 9 of 11 from the foul line. He grabbed 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and finishing with 15. The other leading scorer was Johnny Anderson, who he grabbed 7 rebounds, had 2 steals, hitting 4 field goals, and was 5 of 6 from the stripe. He too finished with 15. Trayvon Thomas had 5 assists and 3 steals. He finished with 11. Now you might be saying, how did the Warriors lose this? The Warriors should have won this, right? They shot better from the field. The bench battle was relatively close. I thought that too, until I saw the free throws. Shawnee shot 27 free throws to Wabash Valley's 9. And Shawnee hit 20 of those 27 free throws. There's your difference in this ballgame. I mean, when it's that close statistically, you got to look at the free throws, and I didn't do that until after I was done breaking down the box score. And for me, that's key, is free throw shooting after the bench play and after the turnover battles, where you go from the line. Shawnee was able to execute and shoot more free throws, while Wabash only shot 9 free throws all game long. In December, this game was all Logan as the Vols led 46-28 at the half and went on to win the game 83-69. This game looked like a repeat performance as Logan was riding a 3-game winning streak. SWIC came in, though, to Carterville and shocked the defending national champions, winning the game 74-63. SWIC dominated the rebounding battle, winning 49-32, and the shooting battle as they shot 47% from the floor, while Logan shot 34%. Saxon Hopker and Nazir Leonard led the way for the Blue Storm with 16 points each. Hopker led the team in rebounds with 13 to go along with his points, and Leonard outscored the Logan bench by himself. Like I said, he had 16, so the bench play, again, was really huge here, as he went 7 of 13 and grabbed 4 rebounds, as Bennett Briles was on fire, as he added 14 points off of a 7 of 9 shooting night and having 6 rebounds and 5 blocks. Finally, Dallas Rufus had 11 points off of 6 rebounds and 4 assists for the Blue Storm. So, like I said, Nazir Leonard came off the bench and outscored the Logan bench by himself. Logan was once again led by Jordan Logan, who had 14 points off of a 6 of 11 shooting night and having 7 rebounds and 2 steals, while R.J. Walker was 6 of 6 from the foul stripe and had 4 assists and 2 threes. He finished with 12 points. Julian Norris had 4 field goals and 2 rebounds to go along with 2 assists. He had 12 points as well. Elliot Landis was pretty much a non-factor in this game. He battled foul trouble for most of the game, and he even, before he fouled out, got a technical as well. He finished with 8 points and 7 rebounds, but not really a force as he didn't have a blocked shot. Kaskaskia was looking to get revenge like Shawnee and SWIC were able to from their earlier season losses against a district foe, but unfortunately the Blue Devils fell short as they lost to Lakeland 79-76. The Lakers won the bench battle 29-13 and the rebounding battle 38-28, but both teams took care of the ball as Lakeland only had 9 turnovers while Kaskaskia had 8. The Blue Devils were led by Will Vassar, who was 6 of 11 from the field and 9 of 11 from the stripe. He grabbed 5 rebounds, dished out 6 assists, and had 22 points. Isaiah Tolbert had 6 rebounds to go along with 5 assists and was 7 of 8 from the foul line, hitting 3 threes as well. He finished with 18. Lionel Hodges was 5 of 11 from the floor, had 3 rebounds, a steal, and a block before being disqualified. He finished with 11 points. Samuel Hincapie went off in this ballgame as he had 10 of 14 from the field, grabbing 8 rebounds while only committing 1 foul. He finished with 26. Johnny Jones went off the bench, hit 4 field goals, finishing with 13. Aaron Davis and Sean Dekonovich each had 10 points for the Lakers. Davis grabbed 4 rebounds to go along with his points and 5 assists. He shot 3 of 5 from the field, while Dekonovich also had 5 assists and 6 rebounds. Again, Lakeland winning that bench battle and the rebounding battle. That's how come they were able to beat Kaskaskia in this ball game. This game smelled like a trap game. It looked like a trap game. And Olney went into Robinson, but the Trail were not able to play spoiler as Olney wins it 93-66. JT Thomas led the way for the Blue Knights with 23 points as he was 8 of 12 from the field and had 7 rebounds and 2 block shots. Demarion Walkup added 20 points to that and had 5 rebounds and hit 3 threes. And, as I think back on this Olney team, and what Coach Levina and I were talking about a couple weeks ago, these wings play so well together, and it showed because no matter who was having the good game the last time out and who was having the hot hand at the moment, they ramped up the intensity on each other, and they forced the others to play well. And it worked as Jacoby Thompson, off the bench, had 14 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists, while Dalshawn Sims went 3 of 5 from behind the arc and had 4 assists. He finished with 11. Again, Caden Huntlocker led the way for the Statesman as he had 12 points, 7 rebounds, but to get those 12 points, he had to take 14 shots to get there, and he had only 5 of them. The only other Statesman was Ollie Offord, who had 4 assists and was 4 of 9 from the field, finishing with 10. And, when I say that Rend Lake can not survive off of a Justin King only game, that goes for Lincoln Trail and Hunt and Locker, as Caden needs to have backup. When he has backup and when they're scoring mid-teens and maybe Caden has 20, that's when Lincoln Trail will win the ball game. It hasn't happened yet as the Trail fall to 0-9. But again, Olney shot a scorching 50% from the floor, won the rebounding battle by 7, 48-31, and won the turnover battle, only giving up 7 turnovers while forcing 12. Again, so all that being said, Olney was able to, again, just a hot shooting night, probably counters out that bench play. It really didn't matter. Like I said, Olney wins by almost 30 points here. Well, Week 13 is in the books, 9 games. So let's go ahead and recap the standings here. Olney Central leads the way right now. They are 8-1, 17-4 overall. Vincennes is a half a game back at 7-1, 20-2 overall. They were idle Saturday, so that's why they don't have a game there. John A. Logan, 5-4, 11-11 overall. Wabash Valley slides down into fourth place. They are 5-4, 11-6 overall. Shawnee goes to 4-5. They are 12-8. SWIC is 4-5. They are 11-10. Lakeland is 4-5. They're at 14-8. Kaskaskia 3-6, 15-6 overall. And this is where I said earlier in the season, yes, Kaskaskia was 12-0 at the time going into district play, but their schedule did not show a 12-0 type team, and they weren't getting national attention for it. This is why they're 3-6 in the district, 15-6 overall. And finally, unfortunately, bringing up the trail is Lincoln Trail at 0-9, 5-15 overall. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this week's slate of games. We got 5 games on Wednesday to cover, so let's go ahead and jump into it, with the first one being a battle of third place between Wabash Valley and John A. Logan. Logan won the first matchup 60-57 at Carterville, so this one's going to be at Mount Carmel. Coach McGee coming off of 3 tough losses to drop to 5-4. Logan's has bounced back a little bit, although they did just lose to SWIC. What's going to happen in this game? I really hope that Coach McGee is able to get his players to play tougher. We talked about that a little bit in our interview earlier in the episode. Iron sharpens iron, and his team has battled with each other for so long now. I look for Brandon Razor Moore to maybe have a breakout game again, since he's at home. He's coming off of 2 poor shooting nights, and I think Wabash can pull out the victory here, but who knows, because you're fighting a defending national champion, even though they're having a down year. So I will give it to Wabash, but I wouldn't be surprised if Logan wins this. Second game Wednesday is going to be Lincoln Trail against SWIC. I'm sorry, Lincoln Trail fans. I really want you guys to pull out a win. I do. I just don't see it against SWIC. I mean, they're coming off of a big win against Logan. So, again, smells like a trap game, feels like a trap game. Maybe you can pull it out here. I just don't see it, unfortunately. I think SWIC's going to come in. They're going to win. I think it will be close, but it all depends. Can you get Caden Hunlocker some help? If you're able to get him some help, and it's not like Caden has 18, the other one has 10, and the other one has 11. It has to be Caden has 18, other guy has 16, the last guy has 14. You need a group of 3 to be all within each other to pull out the win, and you're getting closer, but I just don't think you're there yet. I think SWIC takes this, especially since it's at home. Kaskaskia versus Olney Central is going to be the game of midweek, as Olney's going to look to get revenge, because they did lose to these Blue Devils in Centralia. Do I think it's going to happen again from the VU fan in me? Yeah, I hope so. But in the realistic fan of me, no. I think Olney is going to come in. They're going to continue to play well. They've played well since early January, and they haven't lost since early January against Southeastern Iowa. And so for Olney to lose to Kaskaskia will be the shock of junior college, especially Wednesday night. I just think Olney's too talented of a team. Their wings are playing really well together. They're gelling together, and I think all that is going to lead to an Olney Central victory. Speaking of Vincennes, they host Shawnee on Wednesday night, and I do think they're going to get this win here, unfortunately for Coach Spock and the Saints. I just think Coach Franklin has his team playing how he wants them to play, or at least getting closer to how he wants them to play. Again, when I talked to Coach Franklin over the holiday, it's when his team decides to buy in is when they're going to be really, really good, and I think they're starting to do that here. They play against a very scrappy, very tough Shawnee team. This team's going to battle you tooth and nail from first tip to final horn. All that being said, it's at the PE complex. I got to give the home team the advantage here. I think Vincennes wins this by 12 points or so. And the only team that does not face a district opponent is Lakeland. They face Rend Lake instead. And again, I think Rend Lake, they're 0-10 in the GRAC. I think they're going to drop down to 0-11. Unfortunately for the Warrior fans of Rend Lake, it's been a tough year. Yes, you've played better lately. You're able to get other players involved than just Justin King. I think Lakeland is just going to be coming off of a emotional week, and they're going to be able to pull out a victory here. And, it's at Lakeland, and lately I've just been giving the advantage to the home team here. I think Lakeland wins this by 20. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the Saturday games. Again, 5 games on Saturday as well. And we'll talk about the Battle of the Warriors Round 2, this one in Mount Carmel, as Wabash will take on Rend Lake. If Wabash does not beat Logan, they're going to absolutely beat Rend Lake. And I think it's going to be the type of game that the Warriors are going to need. I think that this game is going to be Rend Lake shows up. They played well for the first 10-15 minutes. And then Wabash Valley kicks it into gear and just beats them bad in the second half. And it's going to be Wabash by 20 points. And I think it's going to be a Brandon Razor Moore type of night, especially since it's in Mount Carmel. And Brandon Razor Moore plays well at home. The next game I'm looking forward to on Saturday is going to be SWIC against Kaskaskia in Centralia. The Blue Devils probably looking to come back off of a loss. Who they play? Yeah, off of a loss against the Blue Knights of Olney. And SWIC is going to be coming off of a big-time win against Lincoln Trail. I think SWIC pulls out the victory here. I think the fact that SWIC played well against Logan, they are going to play well against Lincoln Trail. I just see SWIC starting to turn this around. This is when Coach Harrington really turns around these types of games, and when his team starts to play very well and is really scary, especially at the end of the year, especially once we get to Ina. And another team that I see being very scary once we hit Ina is Logan, and they face Lincoln Trail at Robinson. I just think Lincoln Trail, they're going to battle. That's all I can say. They're going to battle. I think it might be close in the first half. I just see Logan, again, they're playing very good basketball. They're starting to play like the defending national champions, even though they have a whole new roster. And that goes to Coach Tyler Smith-Peters and his staff. I think that I really want Lincoln Trail to win this game. I really want Lincoln Trail to, turn it on, make a run in Ina. I just don't see it happening, unfortunately, and I think it's going to continue. It's going to be another rough season or a rough game for the Statesmen. I think Logan wins this by 15. Okay, I know I say these last 2 games are going to be must-see, but I truly believe it. The first game is going to be Olney Central against Shawnee. Shawnee is coming off of a tough loss at Vincennes in my predictions, and they're going to be looking for revenge. It's in Olney, though, so I got to give the edge to the Blue Knights. I think that Olney, again, their guard play is going to be the bane of people's existence. I think it is a prove you can stop it multiple times and prove to us that you can beat us because of your post, not because of your guard play, because we can out-guard play you. You're going to have to beat us down low. I think Shawnee can do it. Will they do it, or will they be three-point shooting happy? They've gone away from that here lately, so maybe, but again, I see the guard play just being too much for Olney. They get up into your face like Shawnee does. It's going to be a good game. Don't get me wrong. I think this is going to be within a couple possessions the entire game. No team's going to really run away with this. But I got to give the edge to Olney Central. And the final game is Vincennes against Lakeland. This game was not close in Mattoon. I don't think it's going to be close in Vincennes. Sorry, Lakers fans. I just don't see it. Vincennes, LeBron Thomas has not played like a freshman. Michael Saban-Sue is starting to be that dominant force in the paint that he was starting to emerge as last year with Shiloh. The King twins are starting to play well with each other. And it's just going to be a Vincennes type of night. I see Vincennes winning this by 15. Now, can they lose this? Yeah, sure. They can get cocky. They can, they're number 5 in the country. Why wouldn't they be cocky at this point? It's going to be about, can Lakeland express that cockiness, or is it going to be confidence coming out of Vincennes? And with Coach Franklin teaching him the difference between cocky and confident, I think he's going to be able to do that. I think Vincennes wins this game against Lakeland. That's going to do for this week's episode. I really want to thank Coach McGee again for being the 4th head coach to sit down with me, especially in season, and get to pick his brain. I love talking shop with these coaches, and Coach McGee is one of those personalities that I love. He's very into it. He's always pressuring his guys to be better. So, Coach McGee, I hope you guys have a great rest of your season. Just not too good against Vincennes. That's going to do it for this week's episode, and I will see you all in the next one.